Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Ask a Muso. This podcast brought to you by Jim's Cleaning, Butterham South. Today I'm doing things a little differently. I've got two people on the other end of the line, some bandmates and some friends from Victoria. I've got Harry and Aaron on the other side. So give us a bit of a taste of what you're all about and say hello.
I'll go first. My name's Harry. I am the drummer for Barefoot Spacemen. I'm turning 25 next month, and I was born and raised in Melbourne and still living there today.
Sweet. My name's Aaron. I'm the vocalist for Barefoot Spacemen. I am 23. I grew up in the inner suburbs of Melbourne, but I now live about an hour out.
Fantastic, guys. So when we first started this podcast, Monty name dropped you guys, and you guys got in touch with me, and that's been awesome to have you guys on board, because I was keen to sort of find out a bit more, because I've heard your stuff before and have seen him at your gigs and things like that. So sort of I'll start with you, Harry. When did sort of music start for you, like with drums or whether it was another instrument? How did things sort of start for you?
I guess I've been into music from as long as I can remember. Like, really musical family, so there was just always music playing in the house. Albums like Graceland by Paul Simon was just on all the time. Like, that's a memory that I have from when I was very young. But I started playing music. I wanted to play guitar when I was younger, because that's what I saw, like that was the cool thing to do. But I guess it might have been my mum who basically said to me, I think you'd make a really good drummer. And that inkling was right. And so just sort of played both from when I was about maybe 12, 13, and sort of realized that I was better at drums than guitar, and that's what I stuck with. Didn't get into a band until I was 20, so it took a while, but it was worth the wait.
No, fair enough. That makes perfect sense. You realised that the drums was a better instrument. I was in the same sort of boat. I got an opportunity sort of at the end of primary school, and it was like, do you want to continue with the school curriculum guitar lessons, or do you want to try something different? Because my primary school didn't offer drums, and it's still the most important decision I've ever made in my life to pick drums, because throughout high school I was the only one that was doing it. And it became very helpful and important to be the one that could play the percussion in the room. So what about yourself, Aaron? What do you play in the band and in your own time?
So I'm actually first a guitarist. So I pretty much had exactly the same process as Harry. Sort of started playing guitar at about 11 or 12. Because surrounded by music all my life. My dad's a massive U2 fan, and he loves Police. And Jack Johnson and you're sort of slightly older but very smooth listening sort of vibe, I guess. So surrounded by that, but mum is classically trained in the keys and a vocalist, so you got a real mix there. And so when it came to primary school and I was given the opportunity to actually learn an instrument, I think it was the trombone or the guitar. And I looked at the trombone and I was like, hell no. And I went for the guitar, and I don't regret it one bit. It was something that I found really easy to practice and keep coming back to all the time. And I know that that's not something a lot of people find very easy, to keep practicing their instrument. And so, I'm still playing guitar now, 12 years on. But when I was asked to join Barefoot Spacemen, they already had two guitarists, and I was more than happy to let them do their thing, because they are brilliant guitarists. And I'd been singing since I was probably 13, properly, performing. So I figured I'd stick with that, and it's worked pretty well for me so far. So, yeah.
Fantastic. Well, I suppose it's good to branch out and things like that, but when you find a niche that works, go for it. So I suppose I got to ask, Barefoot Spacemen. So I don't know where you want to start. Who wants to start? But where did that sort of happen? You said you were asked to join, so you weren't an original. But where did it sort of begin? And how long has it been going on for?
So I think our first rehearsal was with the original band. It was April 2015, I want to say. We didn't have a name. We had one song that our guitar player Scott had written, and so okay, great, let's jam that. And then we did, and then we were like, what on earth do we play? And so over time, we sort of figured out like what we like. So we started like jamming that, and then also people kept coming with song ideas, and it just kind of gradually got easier and easier to fill in jam time and things like that. After our first show is when Aaron was enlisted into the band, because our original singer parted ways with us after that show, and it's been great having Aaron on board because he's extremely prompt, doesn't really mess around all that much. Pretty much the opposite of every singer that I've ever ever really heard of or known. So that was great.
Yeah, that's very uncharacteristic. I would have to say the same with the front man in Total Radio Silence, one of my groups. He is all over production and produces our music videos and produced our last 2 singles and things like that. So yeah, occasionally there's one out of 100 that actually gets the head down. So how long have you been in the group then, if it's been since the first show?
I was sort of involved just before the show as well, because the band had a discussion look, this isn't working. And the vocalist, he was happy with that as well. And he's like, look, yeah, I want to do a show. Let's do one show. So we sort of worked together, which is nice in a weird way. You'd expect a new vocalist coming to a band and be a bit hanging out with your ex's boyfriend or something, it'd be a little weird. But he was really, really cool about it, and was happy to sort of show me the ropes of the 2 songs we had at that point. But yeah, so I was sort of involved, I think it was for a couple of weeks before the show. We did the show, parted ways, and it was all really good. And I sort of built on and sometimes kept completely the way they were, his ideas that he had for the songs. Because some of the melodies this bloke wrote, I haven't come close to them yet, so I like a lot of respect for him. But I sort of came on really early on, so it's been nearly 5 years now, I think. So pretty shortly after they were formed, which I had no idea. I assumed Barefoot Spacemen had been a band for years before I'd even heard of them, but no. Very fresh.
Well, that's always nice to get in there when it's a little bit established and they're playing stuff. Remember in the old days when we used to play shows and we were allowed outside. It's nice that they were sort of established in that front. That's the same as me with the Sundowners. I joined it as an established group that had a hiatus for reasons due to injury and things like that. And then they came back just after I'd moved to Queensland, and it sort of went from there. And I saw them play a show with their other drummer, and then sort of from there we'd been jamming and practicing in the background, and I, for most of the parts, before the song sort of changed around and things, I kept them pretty straight down the line like they were before, because I was already cutting certain grass to an extent. I didn't want to reinvent the wheel, so I can relate to that. And when the vibe flows and it's all connecting, which it is and it has, and all the shows we played after that, it's nice when it fits like a glove. So in regards to your non-band stuff, because you got some releases up, you got quite a few releases up online, and obviously you wouldn't have anything show-wise coming up. But what about personally? What do you have any projects personally, either of you, or you do any recording and stuff?
So I have recently sort of, once this whole thing started to go down, just started investing abnormal amounts in recording gear. And one thing I've been working on, we've all been working on, is just kind of writing our own, not writing, but, recording our own bits for a song that we had started working on before we went into isolation. So just kind of been going back and forth with that stuff. But then there's also there's drum and bass covers that I wanted to start working on. So yesterday I was just working on a cover of Locked Out of Heaven by Bruno Mars, which it's not really my usual style, but it's pretty much the only Bruno Mars song that I really like, and it's really simple, so I figured it would be a really good place to start for, relying only on my own, knowledge and wit and, skill and things like that when it comes to recording. That's pretty much what I've been doing since we all got separated.
Yeah, that's actually the first song I ever did a drum cover of.
Oh, really?
I I actually don't know if I still have it on my YouTube or whether it was only on Facebook. I can't remember. It might still be on my Facebook from many years ago. I was recording with 2 SingStar mics as overheads. Yeah, well, I don't know, it was a high quality setup. Recording into my school laptop, which was one of those Lenovo yoga pads with, 0.5 gig of RAM, into Ableton Live. That was a time. And yeah, I recorded that. Golly gosh, that was ridiculous. But that was actually my first cover, so it's funny you mentioned that. I might have to drag it up in the archives and not plug it because I don't want anyone to watch it. But I'm sure yours will be great. What about you, Aaron? What are you doing? You doing any solo stuff?
Yeah. So I've been, a singer-songwriter, I suppose, since I could sing and play at the same time. So probably year 7. Because I have the privilege of being able to work with people like Harry, who can play the drums, play the guitar, play bass, he can sing, he can do sort of everything. I have the privilege of working with him and the other guys in a way that we don't just write a song and vomit it out from one person. So with the Barefoot stuff, I reckon 99% of the time, we're all just sort of contributing our own parts, which is really, really good. And so it means that, when I write solo stuff, it's a very, very different feel because it's not at all what we produce with Barefoot. So I've been writing a fair bit. I've done some coronavirus, quarantine songwriting challenge things that I've had mates of mine start up. So that's been really good. And I've been chucking them up on Instagram and Facebook and stuff. But also secretly writing my own full album for Barefoot. So get ready, Harry. There's a whole lot coming.
Yeah, this is news to me.
I don't tell the boys so I don't let them down. But there's a lot of content coming.
Well, I suppose you wouldn't have seen each other in at least a few weeks. We were sort of at a time with Total Radio where we had lots of stuff coming out and didn't necessarily have... We had a few things in the pipeline, but it was pretty much getting ready for the shows we had because we'd done all the writing and things like that. And now it's sort of bollocks, what do we do now?
So you could feel like there was a definite build up of momentum behind you guys, and then it just kind of got halted.
Yeah, pretty much, because we had we'd put in all this effort for these 2 singles that we'd been working on and 2 video clips, and then we had a release show for each, and then we'd just been trying to snag playtime with anyone who was keen to put us on. And eventually, after knocking on a few doors, kissing enough babies and shaking enough hands, I actually got some replies and actually got things lined up and had a calendar. And had at least one a month ongoing. And it was just a bit of a bucker. I don't know what you guys had. Did you have anything? Harry, just before we started, was saying about your last show that Monty had showed me about in the little tiny room in that extremely weird stage. But did you have anything else upcoming?
No definite plans. We hadn't set any dates or anything, but we were getting pretty close to booking some studio time, being this is when we're going to have a song ready to go when we go into a studio. And it was basically going to be like that for the rest of the year. We'd write a song, rehearse it, get it all ready to go, and then sort of maximize our studio time, but do it sort of bit by bit. There was nothing really planned. We didn't have set dates for that. So that's probably for the best that, none of that sort of got disrupted because there was nothing concrete really. But we sort of had a plan for how we were going to go about it.
And now Aaron's got a whole back catalogue that you need to get learning. And it's now in video, so it has to happen. So you're saying how you don't tell the boys because you don't want to let them down. Well,
I've told them now.
That's your own fault. I didn't even ask.
I played myself there.
Exactly. So I'm keen to sort of hear what it's about. So how would you sort of describe, for those who haven't listened, because I know that they will be listening after this, the Barefoot sound?
I think we're optimistically described as surf rock. Scott likes to think that we're surf rock, but I think of surf rock and I think of the Beach Boys. And I don't know if I'm completely way out there. But, I think of the Beach Boys. I think of sort of your lo-fi reggae almost sort of feel, what surfers listen to. I think when I'm surfing, I do not want to listen to anything hard, anything fast. I'm just just chill, slow.
Want to have a good time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, want to have a good. Don't want to get too hyped up. Like the swell's out, you're just surfing, you're chilling. That's the usual.
If it couldn't be part of the theme song for Hawaii 5-0, it doesn't count.
That's surf rock in a nutshell. Yeah, because I don't write all the lyrics for all the songs. I pretty much do all the melodies, but when I write lyrics for songs and they're coming from me, I'd say that it's definitely more of like a blues rock sort of sound. Because we've got a lot of blues styling without necessarily, your stock standard 12-bar blue chords.
I think that's how it started out initially, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And I think it's very much like still at the foundation, but I think particularly recently, like we're going to like funk a little bit, like a bit of jazz. Like we got a song in 7/8, flipping. Oh, I love it. Like I love not being restricted at all, but they all still sound like us, I think, which is really critical, and really hard for bands to do. All credit to Scott. I don't know how he's pulled it off in some of these songs where it sounds exactly like all other stuff, completely different.
Yeah, you should get to a stage when, especially when you're an established band, which are established now, get at a stage where everything's lined up and you put them all next to each other and you go, yeah, I know who did that. It was one person. That's the Barefoot Spacemen sound, rather than that's a collection of songs and they're all good, but, who did them all?
And I think that's one of the great things, like I said before, like being able to work with all the guys, is it's not just me and Scott going, cool, we're going to produce this song. Harry, here's your drum bit. Jono, here's your bass bit. Jimin, here's your other guitar. Like, we come with an idea most of the time, and it's the combination of the five of us that makes it really sound like us, which is good, because I think that's why our sound is so not, it's not just blues rock. Like it expands a little bit, which I like.
Yeah, I feel that in Total Radio Silence. We that's how we write. So it can be tricky to have that, but yeah, we sort of write with often something that Will produces for us, and then we sort of go from there. And like often it's a riff, and it could be we cut out one beat and make it a different time signature, or it could be basically how I play the drums is how everyone else changes the vibe because of how they interpret the feel and stuff like that. And it's just about sort of turning things, whether it's some of them have been really funky and we've twisted them into like more our sound, which is like a grungy rock sort of pop grunge sort of vibe. And yeah, it's trying to twist those things, everyone's ideas, and twist them into something cohesive unit that everyone's playing their own bit, which is awesome, especially when you got playtime and everyone wants to hear it. So you've got some releases up. I've got to ask, what do you sort of want to plug and tell everyone about in regards to the releases and things like that? Like your latest stuff and your socials and all that for the band. Who wants to take over and plug that for a bit?
So yeah, last November we came out with our most recent EP called Cabin Fever. It's got 5 tracks on it. I probably find it the easiest of our EPs to listen to, not necessarily because of how it sounds, but more how it's, like, the actual songs themselves, more how it's produced. I look back on some of our older stuff and I think, God, like, that could have been so different. Like, absolutely no disrespect to anyone who might have been a part of it. But, I listen to the stuff we've got now and I think this is kind of what we want to showcase. So, it also shows, like, a bit of a range in, like, what our sound can be. Just in terms of the style of the song, like Aaron said, there's like a 7/8 song on there, but there's also stuff that's a bit more straightforward. I think there's something for everyone on this latest EP. So yeah, that's probably what I'd look to for something that I'd want my kids to hear.
Yeah, your musical legacy as the band. Yeah, no, that's fair enough. So Aaron, where can everyone, like obviously everyone can find that on the streaming platforms, but where can everyone find you guys on Instagram and Facebook or whatever you're on?
So I think we're just at Barefoot Spacemen.
I think everything's been made as easy as possible to find. So if you just type Barefoot Spacemen into pretty much...
With an E.
Yeah, with an E. The amount of... it's a bit of a running joke now in the group. The amount of times that people will like get like the bill wrong, even though like they're referencing like our Facebook page or something like that, where it's right there in writing. Absolutely mind-boggling that people can still make the same mistake even after we've been, like, we might have played at that venue before.
No, it is. You got to laugh about it. I've had a couple. Since I've been on the Sunny Coast, I've had the Sundown Nerd. And before I moved, I had Chelsea Avenue, and they'd replaced the U in Avenue with Y.
Avenue.
Yeah, it was the French. Hello, this is Chelsea Avenue. And I'm looking at a keyboard, and they're next to each other, but surely someone's proofreading.
I remember our first show. This was before Aaron was in the group, but I don't know if we've told you about this but on that bill we were Barefoot Spacemen with a T on the end.
Spacemen!
I don't know where that would have come from, because it's harder to remember that than it is spacemen. And like, I don't know really what a spaceman is.
It's like a basement, but like a really, really big one. So it's got lots of space meant in the basement.
Well, I now know what the album that Aaron's been working on is going to be called. It's going to be called Barefoot Spacemen. This is going to open your mind and take you out of this world, whilst also being downstairs.
You got me.
So I didn't mean to spill the beans on that. Jeez, bugger, I've really shot your project. Sorry to steal your thunder, guys. I can cut this bit out if you want. With the brainstorming, don't put a number on my back. Well, thank you for joining me, lads. It was good. I was hoping it was all going to work nicely with the two of you, and it was very good. It was nice to have you on and to sort of find out a little bit more about you guys and what you're up to, and supporting local music. So I'll put up all your socials and all that if you link me to everything you got, and I'll promote Cabin Fever, which is a great album. I've listened to it. It's very good. I'll bid you farewell. So thanks for being on, guys. I'll be doing another episode of Ask a Muso next Tuesday, so make sure you stay tuned, and if you're interested in getting notified when these come out, hit a subscribe button on my YouTube and also press the bell for when these ones come out each week. And until next week, I will see you later.